All right, Coach, fall ball's wrapped up for you guys, but before we get into that, I kind of wanted to talk about some of the stuff that happened in the offseason, a couple new additions to your staff, and coaches Justin Dedman and Matt Pastore, and then obviously bringing back Joe Forney. Just kind of talk about what they brought to the program so far and just a fall of them being here so far.
Yeah, for sure. Coach Dedman, Coach Pastore, both huge additions to the program. Both have had head coaching experience in their careers already. So they have a tremendous organization to what they do. I think there's pretty instant buy-in from our players with both of those guys. Since they've been here, I've only felt better and better about the additions of those two guys. Coach Dedman is as good as anybody I've ever met when it comes to talking, hitting, and coaching hitting. The better word is probably teaching that to our guys. I think our guys are really getting obsessed with the conversation and the improvement that they're making offensively. And then Coach Pastore is as organized and structured as anybody that we've ever had on our staff, and one of the more organized guys I've ever met. And what it allows him to do is he can touch kind of a lot of different positions on our team because he's so well thought out, so well researched that he could coach just about every position on the field. So we're lucky and we use him in that capacity. We move him around quite a bit. He works primarily with our outfielders and our hitters, but he definitely works with our pitchers as well, our catchers, and he's mixed in with the infielders a little bit too. So those two guys have been awesome on the field. And then Joe Forney's one of the best people on the planet, in my opinion. So anytime you can have a guy like that in your program, it's definitely a good thing. And when he left the volunteer position, whatever it was, a year and a half ago now, I was just hoping that we get a chance to work together again. And to make it this quick has been exciting to get back together with him.
Just kind of talk about how you guys set up fall ball this year. I know you guys started a little bit later into the Red Hawk Challenge, just trying to make a more competitive environment. Just kind of talk about that a little bit.
We did. We started later. We played a couple games against other teams. Everything was competitive this fall. I think that was something we've tried to do in the past, but maybe the execution wasn't as good as it needed to be, and I think that's something we did a really good job of this year, is that we kept track of everything. Everything mattered, everything counted, and everything was competitive. Not only the inter squads on the field or the games against the other teams, but class attendance, study table attendance, community service, all of those things were kept track of, meticulously detailed, and our guys, I think, grew a ton because of it. They took a lot more ownership and leadership of our program because of the expectations that were put on their individual teams, the red-white teams that were given to them in the beginning of the fall. So we had very few. We had one missed class, and that was self-reported this year. That was something new for us. Not that we've had a big issue in the past, but it was really cool to see our guys, how serious they took that and how good of a job they did with it.
One thing people always want to know going into a new season is kind of what your new guys bring. I know you had some JUCO additions this year, maybe more in the past. Just kind of talk about what you've seen from the new guys and maybe what they brought to the table in pushing some of the returners on your team.
Yeah, rather than getting into individuals and who's going to do what, I do think we've added some really good freshmen and some good junior college pieces. I think the depth on our team continues to get better and better each year. I think we're seeing it more on the mound than we've ever seen it, where I think we've got more guys that we can count on to give us a lot of and important innings. We're still working that depth in the infield. I think Jordan Stevens is a guy who was hurt all fall, but I think is going to provide some of that depth in the infield too. He's an athletic kid. So I do think that what we've brought in is going to be able to push the guys who are returning quite a bit, but they're also guys that we can rely on in big situations, whether it be offensively, defensively, or on the mound.
You obviously haven't got to see your team on the field in your regular season play yet, but what do you feel is the maybe identity of this team so far? What do you think are your guys' strengths going into the spring?
I think we're a more confident group of guys. I think we did a better job this fall as a coaching staff of getting to a point now where our guys are more confident in what our team can do and what they can do. I think we'll be very aggressive. I think we'll be very aggressive at the plate this year. I think we'll be very aggressive on the mound this year. I don't think there's a lot of fear in any of our players. So I think that's going to be – not that we were a scared team last year and years past, but I think it'll be noticeably different this year, is that we are going to be on the attack more. I think we are going to be the aggressor more, and I think our goal is going to be to take the game to the other team and try and make them play catch up as long as we can. So I think it'll be noticeable. I hope it's noticeable because we've worked on doing a few things differently and then a few things better that I think will show up when we start playing baseball games.
Now, you guys are putting a ton of work this fall. Maybe every baseball coach in America worries about this. The guys go home for about a month now. This is a very critical time for them. What are the expectations for guys when they go home? Should they still be working out? What do you kind of expect from them when they go home and get this break?
Yeah, especially at Miami with the J term, it is a longer break than a lot of people have. But I really trust our guys. Our guys want to work hard. Our guys want to be great. I trust what they're doing. We've given them workouts. We've given them throwing programs. We've given them hitting regimens. Guys know what they're supposed to do. There's structure to it. But at the end of the day, you got to trust that the guys are going to do it, and I do. I think our guys are. It's a hard-working team. It's a group of guys that I can trust that they're setting their alarm clocks every night before they go to bed with a mission the next day to get a little bit better the next day. And if we can work on getting better every day over the break, I think this is where we can really separate ourselves from other teams, or guys on our team can separate themselves from other guys on our team. But this is the time where coaches aren't making them work out. Coaches aren't calling them in the morning or setting times for them. So if they do it on their own, and if we can get 35 guys to do it on their own, we can really separate ourselves from a lot of other teams that I don't think are going to work as hard as we are.
I think the guys come back January 15th. What's the plan as soon as they get back? Is it kind of a full go, or is there some introductory? How do you kind of set up the preseason right before you start the regular season?
I think we've got some things we need to address from just a fundamental standpoint. There's some things we didn't get into this fall that we need to make sure in the winter we take especially good care of to make sure that we can go on a baseball field and play really good baseball, fundamental baseball. So there's some things like that. There's some teaching that needs to happen. But more than anything, it's getting back to that aggressive mindset that we're going to be on the attack, and we're going to figure out what best way we can put this puzzle together to win as many games as we can this year.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.